with our export working capital program. Let's say you're in New York and you're dealing with someone in California. You're actually sending something from New York to California, and the company in California is actually the exporter of record. Under the export working capital program we have, that export would be an indirect export, and you here in New York would still be eligible for the export working capital program. So that's certainly a factor that you should look into. The other thing, just to clarify a little bit, the SBA working capital program for exports or any of the export-related programs do not require that the goods be 51% minimum U.S. manufacture. With the U.S. Commercial Service, you may have been in the previous session, there was an element regarding that. Remember that we represent the federal government, and you're the taxpayer. So this is really your taxpayer money being used for this. But the initiative that President Obama and that we all stand behind is really to encourage more development from here going out. So our programs are really targeted towards the exports, U.S. goods going out to other countries. Made in USA is the key to all of that. So again, just wanted to clarify with the SBA programs, there's no 51% issue with that. We don't have a problem with military-related goods. Some of the agencies have some criteria in that regard. We're not going to ship bombs, you know, we're not going to do anything like that. But there are some certain criteria for some of these agencies. You just need to clarify which tool is really the best for you to go forward.
Right, the SBA has a lot, you probably know, lots of different loan programs. They have the 7A, which is like the granddaddy.
Right.
They have something called the micro loan program, which I think is now $50,000 or less.
Yeah, the women-owned business.
Women-owned business. Those are all available for importing and exporting and foreign business.
The website is www.sba.gov. And they've been modernizing it and changing a little bit. If you have any trouble navigating it, just go to the search box, put in whatever you're looking for, and a page should pop up with the information on there.
One more thing you should know is, as a result of the new stimulus law, billions of new dollars were pumped into specifically to the SBA for small business lending at local banks, at local community credit unions, local small banks will have more money than they used to for SBA-backed loans. So that's a good thing to know about, too. All right, so Todd, when is a company ready for an angel investor or for VC money? Or
Absolutely. Thanks for the question. So I get asked this question a lot, and I think the first thing to do is to distinguish what type of company you are. The typical types of companies that angels will look at are those that are typically not lifestyle companies. A lifestyle company is basically something like your cleaner, your pizzeria, what have you. But that doesn't mean that those can't cross over into a higher growth market or a different type of business. Typically, the types of businesses that angels will look at probably represent about 10% of the entire business arena, so to speak. These are the companies that are potential for high growth. They have something that's relatively unique about their product or service, what have you. Then once we determine the uniqueness of the company, you want to really dive into the management team that's actually running the show. So if the CEO has experience in this particular space, if he's put together a management team that basically has the experience to carry through the capabilities that he's hired them on to do or brought them on board to do, that's going to be a huge plus in terms of what we look at. We look at, do you have revenue? Now, not every business that's going to get funded has to have revenue, and there's different stages of businesses, so you have to know your audience as well. If it's a seed stage company, there's some professional angels that won't even look at seed stage, but there's plenty of angels out there that would be willing to take a risk and look at these particular companies. Seed stage is basically, the company has an idea, we want to get kicked off and running, and we have some capital requirements in order to do that. The early stage companies are much more fundable. Those are the ones that now have the concept behind them. They have proof of concept. Proof of concept means that they tried the product, is out there working. They have a beta model. They have a website that's drawing attention. Whatever the example is, it's there.
Would that be like 6 months into a business or a year into a business?
It really depends. I mean, some stages or some companies actually. I've seen some companies start early stage, and I've seen some companies companies that have been going 6 months to a year and they're still in the developing stage or seed stage. So it really, you can't put a time frame on it. You really have to just look at the company's actual development. Where are they at this particular point in time? So those are a few factors. Then we look at, of course, what is the company worth? We want a good statement about why you think the company's value is what it is today. Entrepreneurs that are not able to articulate that well have a hard time getting funded or moving on to the next phase. But it's a lengthy process. It's involved. You definitely have to commit a lot of time to this, and you also have to know if you are the right type of company. And the best thing to do is just look at your business model and see what it is. Is there a brand that you have that could be a national brand that can take off and you're first to market? You may not be unique, but then all of a sudden, you have the potential to be funded by investors. Or is there something unique about the space that you're in that all of a sudden you just have this great idea where you're going to revolutionize this particular portion of the game? That too will be a major factor. So lots of things to think about.
So Todd, if you were to rank how important the management team is for getting funding versus how important a unique idea is, what percentage would you give each of those?
I would say that the management team is probably the key. Uniqueness without a doubt, but angels don't like to fund. They don't like projects. They like a business. They like a strong team. If it's a fascinating product, but the team behind it just doesn't have the capability of pulling it through, they're probably not going to get funded as fast as somebody else who may have a B-rated product, but has a really capable team that's been put in place that's going to carry this thing through. The team can also not just be your executives. We're going to look at advisory board. Do you have members that on your team that may not be actively engaged in the terms of the ownership, but they're there to provide guidance and support, and their experience may also help in terms of determining how strong your management team really is. So there's lots to consider.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. So I'm going to add just a couple more ideas, and then I'm going to throw it open to you guys. I want to give you 3 ideas that I came across that I thought are kind of interesting new financing ideas. One is called crowdfunding. I don't know if the folks from Indiegogo are here. Nope. Okay, so crowdfunding is a new idea where, and I mentioned this in my earlier program, but not everyone was here. You have a business, you have a project, you put it on a website, a crowdfunding website. The couple that I know of are Indiegogo, who's one of our winners here, another site called Kickstarter.com. You list your project and you ask for essentially donations, small donations. And instead of having to pay those donations back, you have to repay the person in kind with something from your business. So, for example, I use the example of a film distribution company, and different filmmakers, independent filmmakers, wanted to get their films on that new film distribution company website. So this startup indie film distribution company went on Kickstarter.com, listed it, and got 100 different filmmakers to give them $100 each, equaling $10,000. And in exchange of paying that $10,000 back, each one of those filmmakers got their film listed on the website. All right, so that's called crowdfunding. You repay people in some other way. There's a site called Cellaband, and new bands who want to produce an album, they don't have the money for it, their fans can give the money. In exchange, they'll get a CD, or they'll get an autographed record, or I'm dating myself, or whatever it is. But this is called crowdfunding. So it's a really interesting, unique idea. You're probably not going to raise $100,000, but you can raise tens of thousands of dollars. Secondly, there's a lot of business plan competitions out there now, or business competitions where VCs will have a business plan competition, a community development organization will have a business competition, and you might win $10,000, $50,000, $100,000. You're going to go up against other people, compete. You're going to show why your business is unique and special, and especially how you might be able to create jobs. A lot of these are around that kind of thing, especially if it's a community-based one. If you can show how you're going to create some jobs, you can win an actual grant.